A big part of being a teacher is pre-planning for things to come. We pre-plan for our lessons, for our meetings, for our celebrations, and these are all really great and important things. But guess what? We also need to pre-plan for behaviors that most likely will show up in our classroom. So in today's video, I am sharing 5 behaviors that I think every teacher needs to pre-plan for in order to be successful with their classroom management. Coming up next. Hey teacher friends, Michelle Holiday here. I'm a behavior strategist and I help teachers, schools, districts, and youth organizations manage their students and their classrooms with less stress and less struggle. And in today's video, I'm talking about 5 key behaviors that I think every teacher should pre-plan for. Now, before I get into these 5 behaviors, take a quick moment and make your list and leave it in the comments below. I want to see if your lists match mine. All right, let's get started. The first behavior you want to pre-plan for is talking, or should I say unwanted student talking. Most students love to talk, right? Depending on the time of day or the type of subject you teach or the personality you have as in your classroom, the amount of unwanted student talk can be overwhelming. So begin to plan for when your students are allowed to talk, how they're allowed to talk, and where they're allowed to talk, and whether you're a teacher with one classroom or a teacher with multiple classrooms. And the plan doesn't have to be very deep or long, but at least have an idea of what you want to see, how you want to see it, and when you want to see it in your classroom. Behavior number 2, movement. So if you're a teacher, one of the things you deal with a lot is movement. Movement such as coming into your classroom, leaving your classroom, and the movement that happens within your classroom, whether they are changing from individual desks to small group, whether they are rotating at different centers, all of that needs to be pre-planned for. Because let me just say, if you don't have a plan for it, students will create their own plan, and you may like it, you may not, and it may end up in chaos. So pre-plan student transitions that happen in your classroom. Behavior number 3, group behavior. Now, I happen to love putting my students into small group, and I actually love whole group as well. But I do have a plan for how that looks and what I expect from my students. To be successful, have a plan for how they enter the group, how they exit the group, and what they're doing while they're in the group. Be as specific as you possibly can. So as you communicate the rules and the expectations for the group, there are very little gaps that our students can take advantage of. Behavior number 4, not starting their work. Now, whether they're not starting their work because they're trying to avoid the work, they're used to not doing work, or they're just having a bad day, you need to have a plan for when your students just won't work. What do you say? What do you do? What's your alternative? All of these things are important to think about and make a plan for so that when it happens, because most likely it will multiple times in the year, you do have a plan in place to address it. And behavior number 5, and I'm pretty sure this will be on everybody's list, disrespect. I am very strict when it comes to disrespect. Like that's like my number 1 pet peeve, get on my nerves and bad side behavior. But I've learned to have a plan in place for how I address disrespect and how I want to turn that around. First, know for yourself what is considered disrespectful for you so you can communicate that to your students, and then plan out the steps of what you will do when a student is disrespectful. As a matter of fact, you can plan out when the student is respectful if that's what you choose to do. Pre-planning for student misbehaviors can change the game for how you walk in confidence as a manager of your classroom. So take maybe 30 minutes to an hour and start to plan out how you will address these behaviors. You won't regret it. Now, take a look at your list, take a look at the list I just gave, and look at how close or how far apart we are. I can't wait to compare and see what you guys put down myself. That's it for today's video, and I will see you next time.